living on Mars, what your daily life would actually look like. The rusty red surface of Mars has captivated human imagination for centuries, but what would actually waking up on the fourth planet from the Sun entail? Based on current scientific understanding and data from Mars rovers, orbital missions, and analog research stations on Earth, we can paint a surprisingly detailed picture of Martian daily life. Your morning would be 39 minutes longer. Your alarm wouldn't follow Earth time. A Martian day, or sol, lasts 24 hours and 39 minutes, meaning your circadian rhythm would face constant adjustment. Research from Mars simulation missions suggests that while humans can adapt to this slightly longer day, many would experience persistent mild sleep disruption similar to permanent jet lag. Your body's internal clock, evolved over millions of years to Earth's rotation, would be in perpetual negotiation with Martian time. You'd awaken inside a pressurized habitat module, likely buried beneath several meters of Martian regolith, soil. This isn't for aesthetics. Mars lacks Earth's protective magnetic field, exposing the surface to radiation levels approximately 700 times higher than Earth. Without this shielding, you'd absorb your annual safe radiation dose in just 10 days. Underground or heavily shielded habitats are non-negotiable for long-term survival. Getting dressed takes engineering. Your morning routine would involve more than choosing an outfit. Venturing outside requires donning a spacesuit, a 30-45-minute process even with practice. Unlike bulky Apollo-era suits, Mars suits would likely be mechanical counter-pressure garments, tight, flexible bodysuits that maintain pressure directly on your skin rather than through gas pressure. Current prototypes from MIT and NASA resemble superhero costumes more than traditional spacesuits, allowing greater mobility in Mars's 38% Earth gravity. That reduced gravity presents its own challenges. While it makes moving around easier and allows you to lift nearly 3 times what you could on Earth, prolonged exposure causes bone density loss of 1 to 2% per month and muscle atrophy. Your daily routine would mandatorily include 2 hours of resistance exercise to combat these effects. Data from the International Space Station confirms this isn't optional if you ever want to return to Earth. Breakfast isn't farm fresh. Your breakfast would come from hydroponic gardens within the habitat. Mars colonists would likely follow a primarily plant-based diet, not for ideological reasons, but because plants offer the best calorie return for resources invested. Potatoes, sweet potatoes, lettuce, tomatoes, and soybeans are leading candidates based on NASA research, selected for nutritional completeness, caloric density, and ability to grow in controlled environments. Fresh meat would be extraordinarily rare. While some proposals suggest insects for protein, requiring far fewer resources than livestock, most animal protein would come from cell-cultured sources, essentially lab-grown meat produced in bioreactors. Water for cooking, drinking, and growing food would be extracted from underground ice deposits, confirmed by Mars orbiters and landers, then recycled with near-perfect efficiency. Every drop of water you exhale, perspire, or excrete would be recaptured, purified, and reused. A closed-loop system already proven on the ISS. Work happens in slow motion, from Earth's perspective. Your workday would likely focus on habitat maintenance, scientific research, or resource extraction. Communication with Earth would be frustratingly delayed. Signals take between 3 and 22 minutes one way, depending on planetary positions. A simple video call becomes an exchange of recorded messages. Emergency support from Earth is impossible. Martian colonists must be entirely self-sufficient for medical care, repairs, and problem-solving. This isolation breeds a unique work culture. Research from Antarctic stations, the closest Earth analog to Mars isolation, shows that crews develop intense bonds, create their own social traditions, and often struggle with monotony. Mars mission planners have learned that psychological support, privacy, meaningful work, and recreational activities aren't luxuries. They're mission-critical. The outside world is spectacular and lethal. When you do venture outside, you'd encounter an alien landscape. The salmon-pink sky results from fine dust particles suspended in the thin atmosphere, which is 95% carbon dioxide and less than 1% the density of Earth's. Without a pressure suit, your blood would literally boil in the low-pressure environment. Water vaporizes at body temperature in Mars is 600 pascal atmospheric pressure compared to Earth's 101,325 pascals. Temperatures would swing wildly from a relatively balmy 20 degrees in 68 degrees at the equator during summer afternoons to 73 degrees, 100 degrees at night, with winter poles reaching 125 degrees, 195 degrees. Your suit would require sophisticated thermal regulation, heating and cooling constantly as you move between sunlight and shadow. The landscape itself would astonish you. Olympus Mons, the solar system's largest volcano, rises 21 kilometers high, nearly 3 times Mount Everest's height. Valles Marineris, a canyon system, stretches 4,000 kilometers long and up to 7 kilometers deep, dwarfing the Grand Canyon. In low gravity, dust kicked up by your boots would arc in graceful parabolas, falling slowly back to the ground. Evening brings Earth views. As the sun sets, taking Martian atmospheric dust with it through beautiful blue sunsets, opposite to Earth's red ones due to different scattering properties, you might glimpse Earth in the evening sky. Our home planet would appear as a bright blue star, sometimes accompanied by a tiny companion, the Moon, visible only through telescopes. This view profoundly affects astronauts, often triggering the overview effect, a cognitive shift toward environmental concern and unified thinking about humanity. Nighttime on Mars reveals spectacular views. With minimal atmospheric interference and no light pollution, the Milky Way would blaze across the sky in unprecedented clarity. However, you'd notice differences. Mars's moons, Phobos and Deimos, are irregularly shaped rocks rather than spheres. Phobos orbits so quickly it rises and sets twice per sol, while tiny Deimos takes 2.7 sols to cross the sky. The psychological reality. Perhaps the most challenging aspect of Martian life isn't physical, but psychological. You'd be living in an artificial environment, breathing recycled air, drinking recycled water, eating repetitive foods, with the same small group of people, unable to leave, knowing that Earth is 140–250 million kilometers away, depending on orbital positions, and that any return journey, if possible at all, would take 6 to 9 months. Studies of isolated environments consistently show that humans can adapt remarkably well, but require purpose, autonomy, social connection, and hope for the future. Successful Mars colonists would need to be psychologically resilient, socially skilled, and genuinely motivated by the mission's goals. Living on Mars would mean accepting that every breath, every meal, and every moment depends on technology functioning perfectly. It would mean embracing routine, managing risk, and finding meaning in humanity's greatest adventure, becoming a multi-planetary species.